Welcome to the official Offspring podcast featuring Dexter and Noodles. In the next 10 minutes or so, you'll be subjected to all the ramblings, platitudes, and blathering bullshit we can dish out. In this webisode, Dexter and Noodles are clearly not trying.
All right, so we're talking about tour.
So after about a week of shows, we hook up with 311 in Chicago and Pepper. Another great band. Those guys, Pepper from Hawaii, very ska, kind of reggae influenced stuff, and also Jimi Hendrix influenced stuff too. The guitar player, Kalea, was great. He just had great guitar tones too. Super fun band.
They were really cool guys too. A lot of times on a tour, there's one band who takes it on themselves. Like, we'll be the social hub. We'll be the glue that keeps everything together.
And that was Pepper.
And that was Pepper.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of times, I should say, because when you're on tour, bands don't really talk to each other a whole lot. I don't know what it is. I think people think that everyone is, in a giant playpen having fun and doing beer bongs all day, I guess, right?
Yeah, with a bunch of strippers and a lot of cocaine.
Yeah. But it's kind of not really like that. It sometimes takes bands to warm up to each other a little bit or just get to know each other or whatever. So, but Pepper was, the social lubricant.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And they would set up a couple big tents every day, and they would barbecue every day, and it was super fun. And they were great, and we became friends with them, and they really helped make this tour a lot more fun, so that was cool.
Absolutely. So they loved fireworks. When we were in the South and Midwest, they'd find all the fireworks stands and would be in the back parking lot of whatever venue we were playing, and they're lighting off fireworks that were not always legal.
Right.
That was always fun.
That was always fun. But so the first show was in Chicago.
Yeah.
And what was a little bit weird that we didn't totally expect was that we were kind of on during the daylight hours.
Daylight, yeah.
And we kind of figured that it might be in the sunset range, kind of, but we didn't check the almanac. We didn't go look at the tables to find out specifically what time sun would be setting, which varies, I guess, depending on what city you're in. It's a latitude thing. I don't know. Never mind. But yeah. So sometimes a good part of our set, maybe even all our set, sometimes was pretty much in the daylight. So that was kind of weird.
Boy, were we tan by the end of this tour.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. But it was just kind of a different thing, and in a way, it ended up being really cool. What was interesting is that we've been on tours where two bands that are sort of known and the crowds don't really mix. And the crowds, don't like the other band, and we've taken bands out that we really like, and our crowd, which is the nicest, most lovable crowd in the world.
Yeah, you could ever possibly find.
Actually, it's true. Our crowd's very mellow, very, very cool and stuff. But they would be heckling the opening bands that we were friends with and stuff, and that was really
that sucked.
Not cool.
Yeah.
But on this tour, everyone was really, really cool. Like, you could see they were receptive,
Definitely.
to both bands. So that was cool. There was a really nice vibe.
Yeah, and I was super impressed with how well the three bands, although different musically from Pepper to us to 311, how the crowd was, the Unity Tour was a perfect name for it, because the crowd was out there having a good time. You saw people with Offspring shirts rocking out to Pepper and 311. You saw kids in 311 shirts rocking out to Pepper and us. You saw the Pepper kids staying for the whole show and having a good time.
It was cool.
Super cool.
It was like humanity, man.
Right. And 311's audience loves the pot.
I was about to get into that, actually. I was deciding whether we should make this another whole segment just talking about the pot. But
our audiences don't usually reek of pot, except for in Canada. Every time we go up to Canada, our audiences smell like you smell the pot.
It's a Canadian thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is cool. I love the smell of it.
Right.
So
right. Well, I don't mean to keep on backtracking, whatever, but you should talk about that. Like, a fan of a certain band, they tend to have certain personality characteristics, right?
Okay.
Right? Like, if you're into Dr. Dre or whatever, like, you're probably going to be a pot smoker.
Right.
That's just kind of how it works.
If you're into Led Zeppelin, you're probably going to be a pot smoker. You know?
Right. Yeah, our crowd, not really so much. I mean, maybe a little bit of everything. I think there are kids that are straight edge, kids that like to drink, kids that like to smoke pot, but overall, our vibe is really good at our shows. I think there were times when it was more maybe violent in the past, but it hasn't been like that for a long time.
No, yeah, it's the world is mellowing.
Yeah, and you'll find that if we go to Canada or like British Columbia, especially because there's just a huge pot industry, we call it that up there, that we actually were playing a song and you just get a giant whiff. It's like a cloud of pot smoke just comes up on stage.
When we were doing this last summer, we decided to throw something different into the set. So we were covering a Clash song. We were covering Guns of Brixton, and every time we'd go into that, it's very reggae kind of feel. So yeah, everyone would start sparking up.
It was like they lit up.
That, yeah,
like, oh, reggae.
Yeah.
Pavlovian response or whatever. Time to light up. I gotta smoke a bowl now.
That's right.
And I mean, it's personally, it's not for me. I don't care, but whatever floats your boat, that's great and stuff. But
I think it's rad, and I think that that's one of the cool things about Canada is that it's a truly free country where. Well, except for like smoking cigarettes, you can walk down the street of Vancouver smoking a joint. It's totally. I think it's totally legal. I don't know. Maybe it's just not enforced. But be careful where you're smoking a cigarette because they'll get pissed at you.
They really do.
I think you can't. Yeah, you can't smoke. So close within a doorway to a building.
Yeah, it's something crazy like that. Yeah. Every country's got.
But I think it's rad. And
hey, more power to you. Whatever. Yeah.
I think it's great.
So, by the end of the tour, that song would come on, the billowing clouds of pot smoke would come on, we'd all get a contact high, and before you knew
I think it helped us play that song better, actually.
It ended up being a 20-minute jam, I think.
Yeah.
By the end, we were just going with it.
That's right.
But, so, anyway, I think where I'm trying to go with this long-winded story, right, is that the 311 crowd tends to be a pot-smoking crowd. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you're looking at him, absolutely.
So we definitely got fell in contact with that from time to time.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah. So on this tour, it was for us a total of about 5 weeks. I think a week on our own.
I think all told, yep.
And then about a month with 311, and we kind of did a lot of the East Coast and all that stuff, Midwest, of course, also, and somehow kind of wound our way back. And our last shows were in L.A. and San Diego, which were probably the best ones for us.
Yeah. Orange County in San Diego.
Orange County.
Yeah.
I know. I say L.A. because of a broader audience, I guess. But we're proud. We're proud that we're from Orange County. And
those shows were amongst the best, too, though. Paso Robles was even great at the county fair up there, the state fair.
There was a state fair in Paso Robles. I shit you not. And we played it. And when I saw it on the itinerary, I called our manager and said, well, I knew this day would come when we'd be playing a state fair, because that's usually, the last bastion.
And we had Ron Jeremy backstage at the state fair.
Ron Jeremy was
That's
hanging
another
out.
riff. Another story we should come back to. Famous people who have been backstage at Offspring shows.
Right.
We could take care of that in about 60 seconds. So, but
we'll
leave it with Ron Jeremy for now.
He was very nice. I don't know.
Totally.
But yeah, so we're thinking this we're playing a state fair. I think we actually played in a rodeo ring. It looked like.
Well, and there was a rodeo going on right behind the backstage trailers there. Right. And then there was a bunch of cows literally under the bleachers that were to our left. Mm-hmm. From stage.
Cows, yeah.
Yeah.
Under the bleachers.
Yeah.
Like we had to stop loading equipment, I guess, so the cows could run through. Cows.
Under the bleachers.
Under the bleachers.
Yeah, they moved the cows or something during the show. All of a sudden, you're smelling this very livestocky kind of aroma, Right. And I had no idea they were moving the cows behind us.
But that's kind of another example of what we're saying, that you play the weirdest places and they end up being really great shows. Like there was, I think there were 6,000 people at that show, and they all had a great time. And
I asked them all. They said they had a great time.
Smoked a lot of pot.
Smoked a lot of pot. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that was right before our last 2 shows, which were in Orange County in Irvine
Right.
and in San Diego, and those were maybe the best. Really, really good.
Yeah, for sure. Those 2 shows stood out. You know, whenever you're kind of coming to the end of the tour, you kind of get a little bit of a spring fever. You just, you know, and I don't know what it is. You know, it's coming to an end. You don't want it to end, but at the same time, you're kind of glad that you're going to be able to go home and catch up with family and friends and stuff. But you still don't want it to end. But I don't know. I think you kind of ramp up at the end of a tour too. You never know what's going to get you just really amped on stage.
Right.
But hometown shows always do. Hometown shows are always so stressful, at least before you play, you know, because, you know, all of a sudden your in-laws are calling you because they got the wrong tickets, and, you know, you're trying to get ready to do a show, and you got to go help them get back and get the right passes, and, you know, everyone's coming out of the woodwork with all these requests, and then they come backstage and they want beer, they want things to drink.
I stopped because I was gonna go into that. That's a whole another whole topic we can talk about.
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
hometown show, because so many people.
But
show up.
once we get on stage, it's just on, and we just had a great show, like both Verizon and in San Diego, where we had a lot of people at both shows, and just phenomenal shows, great audiences, and
really great audiences, and it really ended everything on a high note. And so, you know, I think shout out to 311. Be
Definitely,
appropriate right
yeah,
now. So
yeah.
it was great. It was really cool, and I'm glad we did it. And we had a good time. So right on.
Well, I guess that about wraps it up this time. Be sure to check back soon for another installment of the official Offspring podcast. Now go on, get out of here.